Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating text called Holy Deeds by an author named Fuxi Wu. We're going to break down the core concepts exactly as they're presented in the source material.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, the entire framework of this text kicks off with a single central question, and this question is designed to completely reframe how we think about, well, divine events.
And right there, that's the jumping-off point for the entire argument. The author isn't just playing with words here. The point being made is that some events are just so significant, so undeniable, that the word miracle just doesn't cut it. It suggests we need a whole new category altogether.
So to really get what the author is saying, you first have to understand the hard line they draw in the sand between these two powerful ideas. According to this text, they are fundamentally different things.
Okay, so you can see here how the author really separates these two. On one side, you have miracles. They're described as subjective, right? They can be misinterpreted, they depend on what you already believe, and you can always kind of dismiss them as something mystical. But then you have holy deeds. These are positioned as cold, hard, objective facts. The idea is that they don't require any belief to be true. There's just no other possible explanation, and you simply can't deny them.
So you're probably wondering, what on earth could possibly fit that description? An event that's an objective fact and can't be denied? Well, the text doesn't just leave you hanging. It lays out 3 specific examples that are meant to be the proof in the pudding.
The first case is a really personal one. The author talks about being divinely sealed. Now, what that means in this context is a 10-year period of extreme, divinely caused hardship. And the claim is that this whole period was perfectly orchestrated to set the stage for this huge, worldwide patent issue.
And look at this number. This is supposedly the result. The idea is that while the author was basically cut off from the world with almost no income, all these massive global companies were, at the exact same time, violating a patent. And in doing so, they unknowingly racked up this just astronomical debt, a debt they had no idea even existed. And this sequence is presented as Exhibit A. You see the steps here? The argument is that this isn't just a coincidence. No person, no group of people could have orchestrated this. The timing, the scale, the unwitting participation of giant corporations, it's all presented as a plan so impossibly complex that the only explanation, according to the text, has to be a divine one. Okay, so from that very personal story, the concept gets scaled up, way up. The next example moves from one person's experience to something the author argues has impacted pretty much everyone living in the modern world. So what are we talking about here? Modern buildings, the sealed-up offices and apartments we all live and work in. The text calls them life-shortening traps because of the way toxins can build up inside. So why would we build them like that all over the world? According to the author, it's because humanity was collectively brain-sealed, that a divine influence made it impossible for engineers and architects to see this fundamental design flaw. All right, for the third and final example, we're zooming out even further. We're moving past money, past buildings, and we're getting into the most basic thing there is, life itself. Think about the cycle we all know: birth, aging, sickness, and death. In this worldview, that's not just biology. That cycle is described as a set of shackles that have been placed on every single living being. The text argues that for millennia, we've been stuck in this cycle, completely unable to break free. That is, until the author claims the key to unlocking these shackles was revealed by the very same power that put them on in the first place. Okay, so we've got the patent debt, the sealed buildings, and the shackles of life. What's the point of all 3? Well, according to the author, these examples are supposed to perfectly illustrate what makes a holy deed so different and so powerful. And here are the supposed characteristics. It's something everyone can see and no one can deny. It's not a small, personal event. It affects all of humanity. It's way beyond what any human could accomplish. And maybe most importantly, it speaks through facts, not faith. The whole idea is that these events don't ask you to believe. They just are. They speak for themselves. So where does all this lead? Well, it all builds to a very clear, very direct conclusion. After laying out all this so-called evidence, the author basically turns to the reader and says, okay, now you have to make a choice. So after presenting these events as undeniable, factual, holy deeds, the author frames this information not just as knowledge, but as an opportunity. The message is, now that you've seen this, now that you understand, You've been shown the one true path.
And that really is the provocative idea at the core of this whole thing, isn't it? What does it mean when a fact isn't just something to know, but something that forces you to make a choice? The claim here is that some truths aren't passive. They demand a reaction, a decision. And that's what makes this such a fascinating worldview to explore, one built entirely on this idea of the undeniable,